Tell us about your Prana Kitchen concept.
Yes, sure. This one. Um, so Prana Kitchen, it is the kitchen in my mom's wellness center called Prism Healing Institute, which is an alternative healing center. And services that the center offers are to heal any mind and body imbalances through various therapies such as yoga, acupuncture, Ayurvedic treatment, sound healing, plant food. So we actually curate the meal plans, make raw vegan food, cater for events, do cooking workshops at the center. So it is looking at food and well-being in a more holistic approach. So that's about Prana Kitchen.
How we can reconnect with nature by food.
So the idea of Prana Kitchen was ideated in the lap of abundance, that is while volunteering on a permaculture farm in Pondicherry. And it is a food eating philosophy to re-establish our relation with food, which is an extension of nature and ourselves. So we encourage people to live a life in harmony with nature by eating foods that are land produces, so eating local fruits and vegetables, and also choosing to consume unprocessed whole foods, which are nutrient dense. This will help to increase vitality, pran shakti, and overall sense of well-being. So we can keep our connection with Mother Nature by continuing to eat seasonal produce and by continuing to eat foods that are grown in our country. Also, choosing Indian rather than imported fruits and vegetables, and also if you can opt for organic or pesticide free grown food. So this, what we choose as our food choices, will slowly percolate into all other lifestyle choices such as skincare products, our clothes, how we travel. We'll be more conscious of all other things that we consume.
How food is a culinary art.
So for me, art is anything in which we employ our creativity and explore our individuality. At the kitchen, we've done a lot of experimenting before providing a certain dish. So before we actually give it to the client, we try different ingredients, experiment in the kitchen, and then we provide it to our clients. Also, since we don't use any preservatives or artificial flavoring, it is an art to create fresh food without compromising on its nutritional content. So because of that, we request clients to allow a time period or a window period where we create their food and then they can take the order. So it's like a pre-order system. So this allows us to enhance this flavor of freshness. And we also employ a lot of techniques such as fermentation, dehydration, soaking, sprouting, all of which is time consuming. And lastly, we strive to provide new food experiences. So in the past, we've had weekly menus which keep changing every week based on seasonal produce. We've also done yoga brunches where we followed a certain theme, so related to certain chakras or focusing on gut health. So that all allows us to use our creativity in providing such foods based on certain themes. And we also constantly strive to create non-vegan dishes vegan. So making vegan cheese, vegan desserts like ice cream, brownies, cakes, and Nutella cookies. So all of which enforces us to use our creativity and make this culinary art, a product of culinary art.
Immunity is best defense against COVID-19. How raw food helps.
So for our immunity, we can always take in terms of raw food, we can take in pro and prebiotics such as kanji, rejuvenac, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, all of which are considered to be alive, filled with good gut bacteria, and they help to boost our immunity. Raw foods are more nutritious than cooked foods. So when we cook anything, it lowers its nutritional value by 70%. So we try to preserve that energy by not cooking the food, and therefore they are more alive and transferring that energy to us in terms of prana when we eat it. So our food is the sunshine, and apart from sunbathing, we can also consume the solar energy while eating raw foods or solar cooked foods. So our philosophy is to eat the sunshine to radiate it. Also, just like a plant needs certain conditions to grow, we feel the number one factor that affects immunity is stress, and that inhibits also our digestion. So eating raw or plant-based foods allows for our body pH to return to its natural alkalinity. So raw foods are actually water-rich foods. So in this situation or in this environment, it is difficult for dense emotions such as fear, anger, hatred, stress to survive, which helps to enhance our immunity.
How disease is simply disharmony with nature?
So at the center, we look at disease in a very holistic perspective. So PRISM has always looked at a disease in terms of mind, body, and spirit. So we recognize that we have multiple bodies: mental, physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual. And if the symptoms are surfacing on a physical level, we try to dig deeper to the root cause, because all these bodies are interconnected. Even in yoga, there's a philosophy of the Pancha Kosha. So most often, an imbalance in one or more reflects or manifests as disease. So if you have an imbalance in either the physical body or the mental body or the emotional body, it does manifest as a disease. So we recognize that this is all a part of the same source. We are all a part of Mother Nature. And for us, naturopathy to work, or any of these services that PRISM offers, which are nature-based therapies such as plant food, Ayurveda, theta healing or sound healing, we need to go back to that source. We need to connect with the ultimate healer, which is nature, and we need to allow and trust that process. So we need to allow that to work on us. So now the sad truth is that now we all want quick fixes like allopathy. We just want to have a pill and cure the problem. However, that only cures the symptom, not the root cause. So I feel by allowing ourselves to be guided by forces of nature, which is also in our scriptures, also in our culture, we consider all the forces of nature as gods or as Dev. You have Vayu Dev, you have Agni Dev. So you consider that as a force that is so powerful or as God because it has the ability to heal. So I think how we can go back into that harmony if we adopt a more natural lifestyle, which is by either opting for plant foods or maybe studying the moon. We've been conducting a lot of moon circles, noticing how that impacts us because we are water bodies. So all in all, trying to notice that we are a part of that ultimate source, and we are children of Mother Nature.
How a therapist wears many hats, like being friend, philosopher, and guide?
So as a therapist, yes, of course, we have to play many roles, but I think the most important one being that of a patient listener. Often people don't need more advice. They just need to vent and need someone to listen to them. So I think a therapist can provide that space for them to release by just listening and giving their whole presence. So I think that's the most important. But of course, they have to wear hats of a friend, a philosopher, a guide, and that just comes intrinsic to the process.
What are the common health problems of youngsters and what is your prescription?
So I think most people actually have a lifestyle related problem, and the root cause being stress or the inability to deal with or cope with that stress. So stress sometimes can be good if it motivates you in a certain way, but when we can't deal with that stress, whether on an emotional or mental level, it can trigger to a problem. So, but I wouldn't say that, just like I said, we are all unique. We all are different. There's no one size that fits all. So there's no one prescription or one coping mechanism that fits all. But to begin with, I think people can start taking out time to sit with themselves, meditate or do yoga or do a creative activity, journaling, some breath work. It's important not just to be okay with being with yourself, but I think also to enjoy one's own company. We are in the situation in COVID where we all have this social distancing, and a lot of people, it's leading to a lot of mental and emotional imbalances because people have never really been with themselves or been alone to themselves. And I think that's the need of the hour. It is important that we enjoy our own company first and take out time on a daily basis to even nourish any of the pancha koshas I mentioned earlier. and be patient with ourselves because nothing in nature blooms all year.
What are the benefits of yoga and what areas you focus?
So benefits of yoga, I think again, yoga is a lifestyle. The benefits of it is that it percolates into your life. Whatever you practice on the mat, whether that's patience, long and deep breathing, cultivating strength. For me, the most key takeaway from yoga is the mental strength that we get to endure pain. So I think that transfers into our life whenever there's suffering, whenever there's a cause of pain. I'm able to stand back, notice it, observe, recognize that this too shall pass. And which area I specialize, I always consider myself a student first and then a teacher, but been exposed to different styles. But I personally like Hatha Yoga a lot, which is the balancing of the sun and the moon energy within us. So slow postures, long and deep breathing, holding for a long period.
Which of your courses are suitable for different type of people?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Which of your courses are suitable for different types of people?
So, our courses are, so whatever we offer at the center, and especially with Prana Kitchen, we offer yoga, food, and meditation session, moon circles. So, as mentioned earlier, we look at each person very unique. Each person's mind-body relation is very unique. So, based on that, we try to provide them or offer them a service that works for them. So if they require something that's more fast-paced or they require something that's more challenging, then we tell them to do an Ashtanga yoga practice. Or if they need something that's more for the mind or the breath, then we tell them to do a sound healing practice or pranayama practice. Or we give them an Ayurvedic treatment. So sometimes people come with only health, like they want to only resolve a particular health condition. So then we look at plant food and Ayurvedic treatments. So yeah, we look at it based on the individual and look at it from a holistic approach.
How your courses are better than your competitors?
So we don't really look at our so-called competitors as competitors. And I think we recognize that we're part of a long chain. There are so many people who are providing vegan food as providing yoga as a service. Our thing is to look at quality rather than quantity and really cure a person from the root. So really look at the foundation. And how we're different, I think, is from that aspect that we look at each person as an individual and also as our family. So we don't really consider it as a client. We get to know them on a very deep level before really prescribing them or suggesting them any therapy. And we work over, our results are normally seen over long term. So it's a long term commitment, and over that we build that relation with our clients. So I think in that sense, we have a very deep effect on the client, and it's no longer a client then, it's more a friendship or a relationship that generates out of it.
What is the feedback of your students?
I think that shows when they come to class, they're very consistent with their practice. Even post the lockdown, we've been having Zoom sessions and they've been showing up. So very regular attendance, whether it's yoga, in terms of plant food as well, they've been sending in inquiries. So yeah, I think that speaks for itself, their commitment and their enthusiasm to come back and stay with the practice even during challenging times.
How vegan lifestyle is a healthy way of living?
So I would say it's not the only way. It also depends on what you consider as health. But of course, I think at the crux of vegan lifestyle, compassion is at the center. So it helps to cultivate compassion, not only by caring about your own body, but also about planet Earth at large, other sentient beings, other animals. So this allows for a certain blossoming of the heart, and you feel increased sensitivity, feeling of interconnectedness. You recognize we are all part of the same source, and overall sense of serenity and peace. So if that's someone's idea of health, then of course a vegan lifestyle would help with that for sure.
Any other important point you may like to add?
No, I think you've covered it all, except that if there was a message I would like to give, it would be that things happen for us, not to us. And so if we can try to see the beauty even during challenging times, we can learn to shift that perspective and see what life lessons this has taught us, and if it has watered anything new within us, and not to forget this when things go back to so-called normal, because that normal wasn't working, and which is why such a pandemic has taken all of us at stake. So it's nice to always reflect and introspect as to see what is it that's happening and how has it assisted us in our growth. Because pain is always here to teach us some big life lessons.